Welcome to It's a Grand Life, where our mission is to be a voice for grand families and kinship caregivers everywhere. Did you know that in the United States alone, there are 2.3 million grandparents raising their grandchildren? 2.3 million. It's a Grand Life is committed to making a difference for those kids. That's why we have the podcast, a Facebook group, and the Grand Fund. The Grand Fund, which is a 501c3 which was launched in June of 2024, provides financial assistance to grand families, including shelter, food, clothing, and household needs. Grand families are in every neighborhood, in every city, every tribe and territory nationwide. If this is you or someone you love, we're here for you. And we welcome you to join us on this mission. Our goal is to offer hope and resources to help you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review. You can also join our Facebook group. Just search for it under It's a Grand Life. And your reviews, comments, and sharing of our podcasts help us reach others that need assistance. Welcome to another episode of It's a Grand Life. Hello, my name is Craig Nash, and we'd like to welcome you to another It's a Grand Life. And today we're going to Milliken, Colorado, and with the Rocky Mountains and everything else, but we have one of our grand families out there. We're going to chat with Karen Parker, who is raising 4 boys in the beautiful Colorado mountains. And we're really looking forward to hearing Karen's story and finding out about how she has navigated the grand life for, I believe, 18 plus years. So Karen, welcome to It's a Grand Life. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Craig.
And it has been, right, about 18 years that you've been
It has been, yes.
And how did you get started in this grand family endeavor with 4 boys that you're raising?
Well, we were moving through life, and we had 2 kids, a dog, a 2-story house, the average thing. So my daughter was hurt in a basketball relay in middle school. She took an uppercut, hit the gym floor, had a grand mal seizure. The staff decided to move her instead of moving the kids. The result of that is she has seizures in the left temporal lobe.
Wow.
So that was a changing day in our life. And
that was in middle school, right, Karen?
Yes, in middle school.
And so she's on the basketball court when this is happening, right?
Yes.
And for those of us who are laymen, a grand mal seizure, that's pretty dramatic, right? Is that?
Yes. It's a full-blown seizure. It's the shaking. It's the everything. And the nurse and the PE teacher saw a lot of kids being traumatized by what they were witnessing, so they chose to move my daughter instead of move the kids, which intensified maybe the injury.
And that is not protocol. The protocol is probably to clear the gym and let the patient get stabilized, I would imagine, right?
Right.
So that began your journey, and then your daughter got out of middle school, got out of high school, and what happened next?
So my daughter was a senior in high school,
okay,
and the medication that she was on for the seizures changed a lot of things, and we found out that she was pregnant when we didn't think that she could get pregnant. We were told that she wouldn't be able to with the medications, but she was pregnant and had the first baby.
And so you have, I did meet one of your grandsons who is your IT director over there. Yes. In Milliken, Colorado. And he seems like a fine young man. And it's great to have an IT person in the house, because as we get older, we're just can't keep up with all this. But so you and your husband have really made it work with 4 grandsons that you're raising, right?
Yes. We took on the first little guy. It wasn't a problem. His mom couldn't handle the stress. She got up one morning, she headed to work, but never came home. We attempted to locate her, and once we did, then we tried to facilitate an apartment and a way of life where she could have input and maybe contact with the baby, but she just is not capable of sustaining that kind of a lifestyle. She chose to become homeless, and she has been homeless for almost 16 years now.
That's amazing. That's just, and I think I told you my daughter was almost 3 years and living on the streets of Detroit, on the east side of Detroit. And it's, I'm sure for you, it was, for us, that was mind-boggling. That's we didn't raise them in that type of environment. We had a loving home, and I know you did, and it's just very, very different. And yet we do want to do what's best for our grandkids and provide a stable environment for them, which you have. And what has it been like raising four, I would imagine, pretty active young men at the house?
We have had the pleasure of having an excellent pediatrician, and he walked into his office one day and he asked how I was doing, and I said, I'm doing well. And he said, are you sure? And I said, do you know something I don't know? He said, well, interestingly enough, most people think, well, you just have another baby, but in your situation, you've quadrupled. So I want to check in with you.
Right.
And it's different than when we were young. You know, we had the motivation, we had the strength, and now we just make it happen. So
a good pediatrician is worth their weight in gold. It's just they could just make life so much easier and help us with just phenomenal care. We have a real good one as well. And so what has that been like? I'm dying to hear what the adjustment has been like for you, because I'm going through it myself. We had a sleepover on Saturday with 6 10-year-olds at the house for my my granddaughter's birthday. And you know, that was okay 20, 30 years ago. But it's a different world now that we're in our 60s. But how have you adjusted to all that?
we, first of all, you have to learn to take it a day at a time. It absolutely is the truth. One day at a time. And the other thing is, I didn't anticipate when we had one child that we would be taking on another child and another child every 3 to 4 years. So it's kind of a learning curve as you go. Mm-hmm. The boys are wonderful. They come with their own package. I think that if I'm speaking to anyone in grand families, we would all understand abandonment issues.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things that are a struggle. For me personally, I choose not to have the kids outside evaluated because I want them to find whatever strengths they may have, whatever inner turmoil they might need to iron out. I want them to do it in the most loving way, and then down the road, if they find that they need some other assistance, then they can get it there.
It's got to be a huge plus, I would imagine, to have the brothers together. I would think
Yes.
that would, our granddaughter's being raised by herself, but if she would love it if she had siblings, and I mean, I would imagine they look out for one another and encourage one another, and with you and your husband, you have this as best as you possibly can, have a stable environment where you're taking it one day at a time. But um, those abandonment issues, those can be really big.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
do they get to have some? It's almost like they have a small group with four of them together. Are they able to talk to one another about, gosh, what was the, where's mom, or why doesn't mom call anymore? Or, wonder what she's up to. I mean, that's what we get with my daughter being kind of out of the picture.
I'm in a little different situation. My daughter is very smart. In a lucid moment, she could take on the world. And she knows her childhood. She knows what she came through, and she knows what's offered through my husband and I for a child. So they have given us the kids, brought us the kids as they were released from the hospitals. And that's how. The problem with it is the courts require under these circumstances, they require a big enough house. There has to be a bedroom per child. There's all these regulations that we have to go through, all these hoops that we need to jump through. And so that's where one day at a time comes. We have one child that was born out of state, and that was very difficult to accept that we may not have the opportunity to take control. And then we ended up where we had to trust and have faith in people that we don't know. Mm-hmm. And we had to just wire money to strangers that had a legal title,
right?
In hopes that they were a good person and had the ability to help us, which it did work out, and it was a very stressful time. That's probably the challenge, is when you're trying to help one, then you have the others you still have to take care of at the same time.
Right.
And
so how did you deal with the stress and the challenges of the interstate, correspondence, if you will, trying to gravitate to get that grandson over to Colorado, and how did you and your husband deal with all of that stress every day? Excuse me.
What we did was, my husband is a trooper, and he works very hard, and he supports the family, and he just kicks into overtime. Many of our vacations, which he would have a vacation from work, his vacations are the time where he could watch part of the kids while I went to fly in to take care of other business for another job. So that's been our lifestyle. So honestly, Craig, I can tell you that for my situation, people move away from you. They don't like the circumstances that you're under. Our age says that we're supposed to be ready to go on cruises and do other things, and
right.
The reality of it is that we're still in the trenches, and we're raising kids, and we want to do the best by them. And we can't even sit down for a lunch without getting a notification from a school or a call from someone, or, and so it really infringes on our social life.
Right. It's a dramatic change, isn't it?
It is. It is a dramatic change. But on the other hand, you see someone walk in the door after school, and they're smiling, and they're healthy, and they're just looking for food.
Totally normal, right?
And you know that you have a purpose, and that you've done your job. And sometimes I'm concerned as to the age difference. You know, I have a little one, so will I be able to maintain some structure and to help them? So I just pray that I will be able to get them at least through their to a young adult.
Right. We get that question a lot. You know, what are you guys going to be here when I'm older? And well, we're not the Lord. We don't know the future, but we're going to do our best to be here. And because there's underlying that abandonment is there, and that
Yes.
you know, and they're concerned with that. But your story is just nothing short of amazing. Your husband sounds like just an incredible guy, and Gail Engel was 100% right in having you join us here on It's a Grand Life, and we just salute your love and commitment and concern for those grandsons, and I hope they appreciate you and your husband, because you're just absolutely amazing. But Karen, if you were going to talk to our listeners all over the country who are in the same boat, maybe they're like me, we're raising one and you have four that you're wrestling with, how would you encourage them today, regardless of what they're wrestling with in Colorado or Birmingham, Alabama, or Fulton County, Georgia? They're all over.
Well, I would tell everyone that they have found a strength that most people don't have the opportunity to even touch on. They have identified themselves as willing to step up, awesome individuals. They may not always be recognized as that through our society, but if they can just step back and take a look at what they've accomplished, it's phenomenal. It is just phenomenal, because it really takes a strong individual to step over that invisible line in the sand, you know, and take on extra and self-sacrifice. So what I would say is, I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of them. And I would remind them to laugh as much as they can in life. Take an opportunity to breathe. When it gets deep, remember to breathe. And then when you look back on it, just pat yourself on the back that you're head and shoulders above a lot.
Right. I'm writing this down. I think this is so good, and I think we all can relate to this. So you would say, take one day at a time.
Yes.
And just acknowledge the amazing strength that you're exhibiting for your grands, and your willingness to step up is very unique and just a fantastic characteristic. And then take a look at all you've accomplished when you look around you, and just the meaning, the value, and the purpose of your life. And yes, it requires self-sacrifice. So don't forget to breathe. Take a minute and just kind of chill and pat yourself on the back.
Yes.
And that is absolutely great stuff, Karen Parker. And we thank you so much for being our guest here on It's a Grand Life. And I hope you're going to think about joining us as a grand voice with the Generations United organization, because I think you'd be absolutely terrific for that. And when you do chat with my friend Gail Engel, give her my best. And you've been so encouraging today. And it's a lot like talking to our mutual friend Gail. Just look at the bright side, be positive, and thanks so much for being our guest here on It's a Grand Life. Is there anything you want to say before we leave to our folks all over the country?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to you, Craig. I appreciate the opportunity. And for everyone else, I just want to say, keep moving the needle. You know, just keep moving the needle. And it may not be there for some of us, We may have not been recognized in ways that we wanted, but eventually you might not understand what you're doing for the next guy. So that's why I'm here today.
Absolutely. Keep moving the needle. Karen, you probably have 100 of these little colloquialisms. You need to write them down. We need to talk about this again. So when these come to you, just make a little note. But thanks so much for being our guest, Karen. It's a Grand Life. Your story is just amazing. And we really appreciate you sharing that with us, and just wish you nothing but the best. And as you live out life one day at a time, God bless you and your wonderful kids and wonderful husband. Thanks so much. Thank you for joining us today for It's a Grand Life. It's a Grand Life provides vital content, regulatory updates, and subject matter experts that are committed to supporting the 2.4 million kids and their caregivers from every neighborhood, every city, every tribe and territory nationwide. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review. Every new subscriber and review helps us reach others that need assistance. As caregivers, we are united in purpose. We are driven by hope while providing strength for today and hope for tomorrow. We are truly making a difference while living the Grand Life. If you have a suggestion for a future episode, please reach out to us. But we'll see you next time for another It's a Grand Life. Thank you for joining us.